intsinzi y'urukundo kubanga. Voilà le résumé de cette fête. C'est la victoire de l'amour sur la haine. Merci beaucoup.
Muri joro bibi ahikibi chiganzira muri bihe bibi ahina biatsimbatara muri bihe imfuvya bapfakazi barira muri bihe abakowa bakwaye bihebura niho umuco watamanzura Maison Shalom iraseruka itanga intumbero y'ubuzima itanga umunezero ku mitima ituniye. Dushika tugeze uyu munsi ryabuye abubatsi bari bataye niryo ryabaye iremetso. Maison Shalom warabaye igitambara cera de gikanda kidatoneka imvune n'inguma. Maison Shalom warabaye ikiraro gica kw'iterambere aho uri harakayangana abawe barasayangana ingo twigilane. Maison Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.
Voilà le résumé de cette fête. C'est la victoire de l'amour sur la haine. Merci beaucoup.
Muri joro bibi ahikibi chiganzira muri bihe bibi ahina biatsimbatara muri bihe imfuvya bapfakazi barira muri bihe abakowa kugeza uyu munsi.
Ryabuye abubatsi bari bataye niryo ryabaye iremetso. Maison Shalom warabaye igitambara cera de. Gikanda kidatoneka imvune n'inguma. Maison Shalom warabaye ikiraro gica kw'iterambere. Aho uri harakayangana abawe barasayangana. Ingo twiginane.
Maison Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.
Yeah.
Maison Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom,
Maison
Shalom,
Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom.
Maison Shalom, Shalom.
Co-sponsors for this event, the Keenan Institute for Ethics, Duke's Global Health Initiative, and the Trent Center for Bioethics, Humanities, and History of Medicine. Welcome to this year's Thomas Katina Lecture in Medicine, Faith, and Service. In TMC, we envision a world in which healthcare practices reflect the love and wisdom of God. Toward that end, we invite those with vocations to healthcare to come study with us and pray with us in hopes that they and we might come to practice medicine Christianly. If you're a health professional student or practitioner, come study with us, either in residence as a TMC fellow or through our new flexible hybrid certificate for theology and healthcare. Now, those who aspire to practice medicine Christianly need exemplars. We need those whose lives give us a picture of what the love of Jesus Christ for those who are sick and injured and suffering might look like. We find such an exemplar in Dr. Tom Katina, a graduate of Duke School of Medicine, and a man who for the past 15 years has been the medical director and often the sole physician for Mother of Mercy Hospital in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan. We were delighted to learn this week that Dr. Katina will be awarded an honorary degree from Duke at next month's commencement. A couple of years ago, through the generosity of a Duke alum and his family, the Katina Lectureship was established to bring to Duke those who are exemplars of innovative service, scholarship, or institution building at the intersection of theology, medicine, and culture. And we are honored and delighted to have among us this year's Katina lecturer, Maggy Barankitse, founder of Maison Shalom, mother to thousands, friend to orphans and heads of state alike. Like Dr. Katina, she has been awarded an honorary degree from Duke University, and she was the inaugural recipient of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity, a prize that Dr. Katina also has been awarded. In a moment, you will see a brief video that introduces you more to Maggy. But before that, I invite Edgardo Colon Emmerich, Dean of the Divinity School, to say a few words of welcome and to introduce our moderator for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Carlin, and bienvenidos, bienvenidas to Duke Divinity School. This evening for me is a fulfillment of visions and dreams that many of us have for this community. We have visions of this professional school of Duke University that is still invested in the business of thinking about God and about all other things in relation to God. We research questions of meaning, beauty, truth, and goodness in a wounded world. And we teach future academics and practitioners how to think well, live well, and in due time, die well. And we have dreams. Dreams of a school that helps churches feel young again, particularly by learning from Christianity in what is often called the Global South. Dreams of an academy where the pursuit of knowledge is conducted for the praise of God and the protection of the vulnerable. Dreams of a time when Christianity can again be a leading social innovator for the sake of human flourishing. Tonight's conversation and lecture is a sign that we do not dream in vain. We will be led in conversation by the moderator, who is David Toole, colleague of mine, who has appointments in Duke Divinity School, the Kina Institute for Ethics, and the Global Health Institute. He is an associate professor of the practice of theology, ethics, and global health, and he also serves in the Divinity School as associate dean for interdisciplinary initiatives, and is currently the interim director of the Kina Institute for Ethics. David first met Maggy Barankitse while in Burundi in 2009 at an event organized by the Center for Reconciliation, of which I am now its current director, and some of the staff of the center is with us as well. And David has carried on conversations with Maggy since they've met and throughout the years and in different places. And so after the short video, then David Toole will be leading us in conversation with Maggy Barankitse. Please.
Maggy introduced herself. This is the video that was made by the Aurora Prize folks when she won the Aurora Prize in 2016, and she narrates her own story for about 5 minutes. So please watch.
Plusieurs décennies, le Burundi et le Rwanda ont été déchirés par un conflit entre les deux ethnies principales qui sont les Hutus et les Tutsis. En 1994, au Rwanda a eu lieu le génocide et plus d'1 million de Tutsis ont été tués. Me rappelle le cauchemar que j'ai vécu dans ma patrie, le Burundi. Les voisins assassinés 72 Hutus sous mes yeux et 25 enfants sont restés sans parents. Le 12 mai 1994, j'ai créé Maison Shalom pour refuser la guerre, pour refuser le génocide, pour dire nous sommes tous une même famille, une famille des enfants de Dieu. Nous avons construit des maisons, des écoles, des ateliers, grand hôpital, le plus moderne au Burundi. Je ne voulais pas que la maison Shalom soit appelée un orphelinat. Je leur disais, vous êtes des princes et des princesses. Et moi, je suis votre maman.
We, children in Maison Shalom, different ethnic background, but we were living together in peace. Like our educator, Maggy, the ethnic is different than mine, but she's the one who actually saved me from the situation I was in.
Sinzi ingene nabimubwira kubera kuri jewe ni nka byose, ni papa akaba na mama n'umubyeyi, sinzi ingene nabivuga, kuri jewe ni byinshi.
Et c'est comme ça que les enfants ont créé une nouvelle ethnie. Quand on leur demandait quelle est votre ethnie, si vous êtes Hutu ou Tutsi ou Mutwa ou Muzungu, alors nous avons dit, les enfants, ils chantaient, ce sont des Hutsitwa Kongo Zungu. Aujourd'hui, ma patrie est de nouveau en proie à la violence. Le président en exercice a violé la Constitution et fait son 3e mandat. Ceux qui ont essayé de protester ont été tués. On voulait me tuer moi aussi. J'ai quitté ma patrie. La Maison Shalom au Burundi est à présent fermée car les autorités ont tout fermé. L'année dernière, presque 300 000 personnes ont fui le Burundi. La plupart d'eux vivent dans les camps des réfugiés, dans des conditions fort pénibles. Ma nouvelle mission est de faire naître l'espoir chez ces personnes. Aujourd'hui, vous restez debout. Never give up. Have you? Never give up. Never give up. Welcome, baby. On a fermé nos bâtiments de la Maison Shalom. Ce ne sont pas ces briques. Et je dis à tout le monde, ils nous ont enterrés, mais ils ont oublié que nous sommes des graines. La Maison Shalom au Rwanda essaie de financer la formation des réfugiés. Je veux qu'ils reviennent au Burundi en tant que médecins, agronomes, pas comme des rebelles avec des armes dans les mains. Ce n'est pas de distribuer la nourriture, c'est de distribuer la dignité et un seul peuple. Et nous allons réussir, et nous allons rentrer debout en chantant les chants de la victoire avec les palmiers, comme dimanche passé. Oui, la victoire de l'amour sur la haine.
Please help me welcome Maggie. Okay. Good evening. I'm intimidated. I had to dress up so that I might attempt to match Maggie's elegance tonight. So a few rules about how this is going to work. First of all, we aren't going to hurry. We are pressured by time because the Catholics are having a reconciliation service in here at 7 with 8 priests. So it's not a normal Mass. But one of those priests, Father Gonzalo, is here. And I've already told him that as the other priests arrive and are worried that we might still be in the room when they're trying to set up, that he can run interference. Not that we're going to go overtime, but I don't want us to rush. Last night, Maggie was talking to a bunch of medical students and global health students, and someone asked her how she balanced all of the things in her life, and she laughed and said, "That is a Western question." And we Westerners and Northerners have put Maggie in a little box here. So we'll do our best to stay in the box, but this is not the kind of conversation that can be rushed. I asked Maggie yesterday, I said, so I'm going to be in conversation with you. What should I ask you? And she said, well, it has nothing to do with what I want to say. You should ask me the things that you think will cause me to say the things people need to hear. And so I've been thinking, what do you all need to hear? So I'm going to be presumptuous, and I'm going to assume that we all need to hear a few things from Maggie. I think, so then I can't, it was a long list, I've shortened it. We need to hear about hope, but also despair. We need to hear about love, but also hate. We need to hear about forgiveness. We need to hear about kindness and compassion. And then the list was going on, and I said, well, really, it's St. Paul. We need to hear about faith, hope, and love. And I think that the other things will come, because when Maggie talks about faith, hope, and love, the rest of it comes as a package. And the way I've decided to do this is, you saw a little bit of Maggie's story. I've been talking to Maggie for 13 years now, trying to learn more and more of that story. And there's three moments in her life, I think, if you tried to find breaking points that matter for her story. So I'm going to ask her a question biographically about these moments, and then she can respond, and then after that, she's just Maggie. I might only get the first question out, and that my job tonight is really to get out of the way, so we'll see what happens. But you saw in the video, I mean, 1993 is the moment where it begins, when she lives through the horrible trauma of watching 72 people killed while she's tied to a chair and forced to watch. Then there's a moment a few years in where she sort of crashes. She's been trying to save all the orphans in Burundi, and that's hard work. And you saw at the end, there's 2015, much farther down the road, when she's forced to flee Burundi because of the politicians assuming she was part of the opposition and related to a coup attempt. So for the last 7 years, she's been living in exile in Rwanda. And that's a whole nother now period of her life, right? That's not all of the work in Burundi. So Maggie, I want to start by taking you back to 1993 and the moment that you often describe of what happened in the Bishop's Chapel after all of the killing had happened and you were no longer tied to the chair. And I don't think that it is in the video. Maggie is the adopted mother or the mother of 7 adopted children, Hutu and Tutsi. And they were in the compound when the violence was unfolding. And when it was over, she couldn't find them. She didn't see them in the bodies strewn about her, and she didn't know where they were. So she went into the chapel of the bishop. This was in the compound of a Catholic bishop, and tell people about what happened when you were in the chapel.
Good evening, and thank you to come and to share the hope for a better world. Thank you, David. It's not the first time that we discuss about that. Sorry for my French English. I will try. If I can't continue, I will ask my sister there who speaks French. You imagine the situation. I was tied. They killed 72 people that I know, that I love. Also, the killers, I know them and I love them. And 2 days before, I lost more than 60 members of my family. And what? You see? And among those bodies, I tried to find my 7 kids. I don't find them. I was thinking,
we're gonna have to kill the fly.
Yes, he's so jealous. Yes, because yeah. And then I want to ask to God to make lament, because I went in chapel. I want really to destroy the church, because I said, God, my mom lied to me. Since I was baby, he told me that you are love. Explain. And I am there crying, and they said, why they didn't kill me? What is my reason to continue to live. Why those people that I love, they kill each other? And where are my children? When I was crying then, the voice of my first adoptive child, Chloe, in sacristy said, Oma, because they call me Oma. Oma, we're still alive. Then I said, God, then I understand why since I was young, I want to raise a new generation who will be able to break this cycle of violence. Then I called them, the 7, and I went to found the 25 children that I had. We were in chapel, and I said, God, now I know that you are love, but give me enough strength to continue your work, because alone I can't continue. This is what I have done, and since this time, I know that the love will win, however.
So yesterday when you were telling that story again, you said that in that moment when you hear the voices of your children, that you knew immediately that this was your vocation. And you also said that you've never been as strong again as you were in that moment. So what was happening in that moment where you had that much strength?
You know, for African women who are there can understand me. When I decided, I was young, 24 years old, and I brought my first adoptive child. I was her teacher in my family. She was a Hutu. I am a Tutsi. She was a Protestant. I am Catholic. She comes from the south. I came from the east. And there were conflicts always in Burundi because of that. My grandfather looked at me and said, what? Why you bring this child? And I said, but your name is Paul. You are Christian. He said, this is the Belgian missionaries. Don't bring this child. My aunt asked me, then you don't want to marry it? You bring this child, you don't want to become a nun? What happened? Are you crazy? Then, after so many years, in this moment, I understood that I have a new vocation to raise those children of God and to transform those suffering in opportunity, in hope, because they killed the parents in front of me, and I took those kids. I continue to raise all those kids, and then I feel inside, I said, then I will stand up. I will shock Burundian people. I will also shock all international community who think that our problems, you simplify, you think it's ethnic problem. It's not ethnic problem. It's about bad governance, bad leaders, because we speak the same language. We live in the same villages. We have the same religion. Why we must kill each other? But bad leaders, to remain on power, they divide people and they maintain them in ignorance. It's why you see I am fighting for education, because good educated people will not follow all those demagogy from the bad politician. Then it's, even for this moment, it's this strength that drives me to continue and never give up. You have seen even the politician who push me, who want to kill me, and I fled. When I arrived in Belgium, the journalists waited for me and asked me, Maggy, now you lost everything. No country, no passport. I became apatride, no money. And what you have built, they destroyed that. What you will become? You lost everything. I laughed. I answered, I didn't lost nothing. I fled with my treasure, my capacity to love, to rebuild, my capacity to say no, to refuse the fatality, to refuse the hatred.
Good. Now, I want to get to when you've had to leave Burundi, but I want to take you back, because one of the mysteries of you and your spirit is that it can seem that it's some kind of miracle, that you're somehow different than the rest of us. The reality is that for those first couple of years after 1993, you were very angry.
Yes.
You were not forgiving. Mm. You were angry with God as well as with other human beings. Mm. And you had to learn, yes? Mm-hmm. So if I remember the story right, when you really understood that you had to learn a different way of being, it's when you had an emotional, physical crash because of what happened at Butezi.
Yes.
So let's go there.
From 1993, every day I got babies who some have no hands, no eyes, no leg. Women who arrived, they were raped. But on 28th of May in 1996, again something, atrocity arrived in a refugee camp. It was IDP place. The Tutsi left their villages and went in a camp. And those were Tutsi. The Hutu went in Tanzania, or they were hid in a bush. Then rebellion arrived. I had already, because the rebel wrote to me that they will attack the camp. I announced that. I tell to the soldiers that the army, please protect those people. But unfortunately, when they arrived, army was not there. And they killed 400 people again. And I found the mothers, the kids, again, I said, in 1993, to see all that. And now again, I saw that. Then I was so angry. I began also to say to the army to insult them because they came and they said, why you came? Go back, take you. We will protect ourselves. And then I went in the villages to see. I found babies, and I found a baby without a mouth. He lost the mouth. And I was there. Like, how to say, maudite. Maudite, what is it? Yes. And I said, I went in chapel again with the baby. I said, you can take this. God, why you create such criminal people? Why? And it's me who must always repair that. I want to revenge. I want to take weapon and first do it first for the tabernacle. Because I said, God, you will see, you have conflict with me. And then when I was taking kids, finally I lost the voice. I lost completely. I can't speak. Because I was so angry when I go in the church. I met some people who were so indifferent and called my children like snake. Even my family can't understand my anger, and the politician also. And I always ask to my mom, who told me God is love, and who asked me to be a candle in darkness, and how I can be a candle in those darkness. But then I decided, I see that it was too heavy. I went to make my retreat in Carmel with a Polish nun, and say to God, now I see that I am very weak. Give me enough strength. I was thinking that I must carry the word, carry all those suffering. Then during this retreat, I discover my voice, and I discover my stupidity also, to want to change the world, to want to save the world. It's so stupid. It's God who saved the world. Then I accept to be in the hand of God. And I discover that if I have this confidence, triumphal confidence in providence, He will do His work, and I will become this really instrument to communicate this love, not to insult people. Of course, we must also denounce, not to accuse, because there is difference. First, I began to accuse, to insult all those people. Then I turned the page. I made my mourning, and I became a new person to denounce the evil, to denounce the social injustice, but not to carry all those suffering on my shirt. How to say, Paul? Yeah. Yes. And this is what I want to tell to you, because many organization. Of course, I met American Christian who came and missionaries who think it's them to carry all the suffering from Africa. And I laugh because I have this experience. Let Africa to God and you celebrate your life. Be light in the hands of God, and God will do his work. And now I can tell all my stupidity that I want to change, and finally I discovered that I was also carried by the children, not me. Yeah.
Talk about, because you mentioned the children and being carried by the children, I mean, one of the interesting parts of the story back in 1993 is after the massacre, when everything was still very uncertain about what was happening, it was the children who helped Maggie decide what to do next. So it was Lizette, the daughter of her friend who'd been killed, who suggested that they go hide in the cemetery, because in the cemetery there were Hutu and Tutsi together, and that would be a good place to hide. This was out of the mouth of actually a 3.5-year-old. And it was a little boy, one of her adopted children, Fabrice, yes, who hatched the plan to have Maggie write a note in German to a German aid worker where they found shelter. And it was a 5-year-old boy who helped Maggie figure out what to do next. So the children have always been very important. How did the children teach you to learn forgiveness?
You see, we parents, sometimes we say things like that, but the children watch us. And sometimes the children, I said, okay, now you know you are one family, don't be bad at school, don't revenge, but they watch me. When they want to go to visit, for example, when the children ask me to go with their schoolmates in their families, but I know that this family, the father killed their fathers, and then, no, don't go there. You know, and said, it's strange. You said we must forgive, but you don't want to forgive. You see how during all those years, it's children who taught me, who raised me to forgive. Because it was we adults, we are there, we want to revenge. But children, they don't, they live with, they love their, at school, they want to share, they want to, and then during all those years, in the eyes of the children, they want to live, and they want joy. And then they taught me how to turn the page and to forgive, because they forgive really. I remember one child asked me, I want to forgive this man. And I said, why you want to forgive? Because I want to live. He was my neighbor. I want that you build a house near. And when we build the house, we rebuilt the house that this man had destroyed. And this man came to rebuild the house. This man asked forgiveness to this young child and say, now I will protect you. You see how children, if we let them continue, they can change the world. It's why I try to create schools, because they will rebuild a better world if we give them opportunities.
So let's jump ahead to what happened in 2015. So a part of the story that I hadn't fully understood until we were talking yesterday is the protests in Bujumbura. So the president, Nkurunziza, had, against the constitution, decided to run for a third term. It was not a popular decision in the country. There were lots of protests. In the capital city, Bujumbura, which is about 3 hours from Ruigi, where Maggy's sort of center has been. If I heard you correctly yesterday, the thing that finally launched you into anger and the decision to just really speak was the killing of a child.
Yes. I can't explain what happened in 2015, but just I can tell you that the president who died in COVID time, he had honored me as national mother. And he gave me 3 awards and gave me a diplomatic passport, because when they were in a rebellion, for me, I didn't judge them. I protect every child, even themselves. If they were wounded, I said, as a Christian, I will, even they are criminals, they are our brothers' criminals. I can't wish that they die. Then, in 2014, when they began to kill people, to find them in the rivers, I asked audience to the president. And I asked that we can be only 2. I don't want the other to listen what I will tell him. And then I said to him, please, as a mother, you give me a noble title to be a mother. But it means that when you kill my children, I must stand up. Then I give you back all those awards because you are killing my children. And as a Christian, now, today, it's the first week of Lent time. And the lectionary is Jonas today, who goes to the king of Nineveh to tell him if he didn't change, Nineveh will be destroyed. And as a Christian, I want to tell you, if you don't change, then Burundi will be destroyed. And you have suffered also. You lost your father during the Civil War. Why you spend 10 years in bush trying to have social justice? Then I give him, I said, don't answer me. I give you this, and I will take it back when you will change. You understand? It was the first mistake for me I done, and he explained to the others, to my children who were involved also in government, tell to your mom to flee the country. But I said, no, I will continue as a mom, as a mother, as a Christian, to denounce and to say it loudly. I can't keep silent. Then in 2015, when he decided against the Constitution for the third mandate, the young people stood up and protested. I was not among those young people. But the first day they protest, they killed one child, 15 years old. Then I was so angry. I went also in the street in front of, I went in a TV, I went everywhere. I cried, I said, I will not again accept to take all those kids who are tortured, putting in jail. Then, of course, because I continue to protest, I continue to go in jail to explain that they can't put those young in jail and feed them when they are wounded, because some were castrated, the other were tortured. And I opened the center that I have in the main town in Bujumbura. Then after, when they made a coup, because the militaries tried to make a coup, they put me on the list that I am also among those coups, but I am not a military. I don't know why they put me on the list, but in 2000, last year, now they put me on the list. I am perpetually condemned. For me, they put plus 20 years. I don't know what's the meaning of perpetual condemnation. And in September, they put me. Now, you are lucky. You have a terrorist in front of you. They put me on the list of a terrorist. You see, but if you follow Jesus, you stand up. Even him. Pilate said, we don't want, Barabbas. We want to condemn Jesus. I am a Christian. I will accept. I suffer, of course. I suffer when I arrive in immigration, when we arrive in an immigration post. They ask me always, because I have no passport, and I am looking if I am on the list, that they will stop me. But inside, I said, God, help me. You give me a sublime vocation. I want to tell you to stand up and to continue to believe that we are one human family, and never the evil will take the last word. And it's why I am not afraid, because he promised us, he said, don't be afraid. I am with you until the end of the world. And it's why I am here, to help me to spread this message, because it's possible. Our unique vocation, wonderful vocation, amazing vocation, is to transform this world in a paradise. You will say, okay, she's crazy and mad. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it probably is important for you all to know. I mean, this is Maggie, but when I picked Maggie up at the airport on Sunday, Maggie looked like a businesswoman getting off the airplane, because effectively she travels in disguise. She can't dress like this in international travel. She doesn't travel anywhere on the continent of Africa outside Rwanda. She just flies straight to Europe and then to the US. So she is she does travel at some risk. She has multiple cell phones. You know, she lives this sort of crazy, crazy life to be with us, to spread the message of love and hope. So since you started to take us into the life of a refugee, so she does have no passport. She has a refugee travel document that says she can travel anywhere in the world except Burundi, stamped right in there, which is, of course, great suffering for Maggie. I'll just read. So this is the annual report from 2021 for Maison Shalom, now international, so it no longer exists in Burundi. It was, in fact, declared an illegal organization in November of 2015, and all of the assets were seized. Since then, Maggie's been in Burundi, and if I have glasses...
I can.
No, that might not work. I'll find them. They're mixed with sunglasses here. Maybe they aren't. Okay, I'll read. I'll try to read without them. If not, I'll have Maggie read it. Maggie, you read it. Read the opening of your. Read this.
No, I prefer that you read.
Right. Where are my glasses? There they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I disobey always.
Last night she quoted the Bible when someone asked her, I forget what the question was, but the answer was, well, you know, in the Bible it says, make your yeses, yeses, and your noes, noes. So I just got a firm no. So this is the foreword to the annual report. And Maggie tells me she wrote this in the chapel when she was trying to find things to say to many people. We are builders of hope. Dear friends, she says, we are builders of hope. Soon, 7 years of exile, 7 years of learning a new life, 7 years of mourning, and here we are, still standing up for our dignity. We promise to disturb you, to surprise you, to astonish you, and in the end, to amaze us. A promise made, a promise kept. Yes, the trust you have put in us has reaffirmed our conviction that love always triumphs. We fled, leaving everything behind us, traumatized, tortured, raped. Some of us were unjustly sentenced to life imprisonment. From the bottom of our hearts, dear friends, receive our deepest gratitude for reaching out to us. So, 7 years now of exile, or more now. What does it mean to be a refugee in a world of refugees?
Yeah. I went in Geneva, and I want that they change the word refugee. Because for me, we are citizens of the world. And in my case, I think we are citizens of the world, and a refugee is a normal human being. But in a normal situation, then to change this normal human being, what he needs really is to change this abnormal situation. Because we are not handicapped, we have talent. And if you see in the world, we began with this COVID moment, COVID time. Who invent vaccine? Moderna is also descendant of a refugee, Armenian refugee. But now in America you are proud to have a Fanian, yes, Nuba. You will say, oh, he's American, but he's the descendant of a refugee, Armenian refugee. Pfizer, if Germans are proud, but he's also a descendant from Turkey. If here we are, if everybody go and see his name, he will see that he was not his ancestor. Were not American. You see how the world is so stupid? Then, if I must finish, stop to be stupid and accept to rebuild with another ethic our world, to create this world for everybody. I don't want to say that we must accept all those lazy people who are sitting like in the cemetery, because you have seen in the refugee camp. Now, the refugee camp you have seen, because we stood up and we changed this refugee camp in this. I built to show that refugees are normal people. Look, those children, they are also like others. I said, stand up for your dignity. Don't accept that somebody tell you you are not somebody. And we are. Those who are Christian, you know that we are prince and princess, that we have a crew. Why? Why we must be slaves when God tells us He creates us? In French, for those who speak, I prefer to say it in French. Il nous créa un peu moindre que lui et nous combla de toute gloire. Yes, who can translate? Yeah. And then perhaps I have a, yes. Yes.
Go ahead, just say it.
Well, that God created, man a little bit lesser than him so that we can flourish.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, so it's hard to know what to follow that with. Well, I'm torn, right? So in a few minutes, I'm going to open it up to audience questions. But I'm torn because that's a good joyful note, and you've now experienced Maggie. But since we're in a divinity school and we're in a chapel, and this is a lecture that starts with faith in the title, I want to hear a little bit more about your faith, and the fact and how it's not always been easy for you. Just yesterday when we were talking, you said to me that God has a debt with you. You said God has a debt with you.
What?
And a debt. He owes you. God owes you. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with God.
I was born, of course, my country was not independent. It was Belgian. And I stood up when I was a teenager, 16 years old, because I have seen again in 1972 how they killed each other. I left school, I went to ask my mom, why, Mom, those Burundians are always killing each other. And I stood up. I believed that I can succeed to reconcile my compatriots. But every year again, and now I became a criminal. From national mother, I became a criminal, enemy for my country. And I have seen people killing each other. Those I love them. I love the perpetrators. I love the victims. And this is I ask to God, why? Why God? Why this Great Lakes region, they kill each other? Answer me. I don't want to die before this reconciliation, because I took 1993, I took Burundian kids, 1994 Rwandese kids, 1996 Congolese kids, and why? Then I want that God have une date envers me, because each evening I said, no, I want to see these Great Lakes. It's beautiful, you know. It's so beautiful in the east of Congo, in Rwanda, in Burundi. And I don't know why they are like that. Il a une dette envers moi. He must answer me. Yes. But I continue to believe and to ask him, because for me to pray, it's to speak to our Father. Then a child can ask to his father what he wants. I want peace. Why there are so many stupidity in the world? Why they must all those money they spend in killing? Imagine if they give this money in saving people. It become a paradise. And also those who must lead us, also so stupid. You will see why the priest can kill their, also in Rwanda, priests killed their parishioners. And I wonder, I went in the Vatican, I have met all those three popes, Jean-Paul II, Benedict, and Francis. Always ask, I was in gathering, in synod with African bishops, and when I listen what they say, I said, this is not the Church of God, of Jesus, it's organization. And I have this, it's why my faith, and I want to reform my mother church. You don't understand? Yes, to be so humble and, yes, to love.
Well, I could keep going, but I should not, because I just assumed of things you might want to hear about. So why don't we take a few minutes for all of you to ask questions. There are microphones, I believe, that folks are grabbing now. So if you raise your hand, and if you would just ask a question, don't make a commentary, so keep it, we don't have that much time, so please be brief with a question, and then let Maggie answer with her own time. Questions? Oh, here's one.
Thank you, Maggie. Your joy is palpable. Listening to you, we live, we're very rich and comfortable and safe here in America. Listening to someone like you, want to be more involved in caring for the world and bringing joy to suffering places. What's your advice to Americans who hear your call, they want to share your passion for life and care? Any recommendations or guidance for how we should live our lives, what we should be involved in?
Yes, of course, it's very difficult. You understand you are a very big country. And you see, I wish to tell it in French, le superpuissance, superpower. And I travel often in USA. I went in South, North, and so. But I wish to ask you, for me, what it means to be a superpower. what is mean for you to see that you are on the list, that you are super power? For me, because we are in the church, in chapel, to be superpower, it means to be superpower in love. Jesus, because I am a Christian, he became superpower on the cross. But can we explain to our politicians that it's to be superpower, it's to serve brothers and sisters?
Thank you so much. What difference does that make that you're a woman doing this work, called as a woman?
What difference does it make that you are a woman?
I always said to the women, when women move, then the world moves. Yeah. Why? This is the message to my sisters there. Don't laugh. If the world suffers, it's because the women miss their vocation. Then this is what we must know, that God give us a sublime vocation to protect the life, to transform the life in happiness, and to accompany our children, to raise them in love, and to spread, to distribute happiness.
Here's one.
Hi, thank you so much. I have a two-pronged question. First, I'd love to hear your thoughts on international organizations' involvement in the Burundi and Rwanda situation, and what good and bad that might have brought. And then, when is goodwill not enough in getting involved in those complicated situations?
So the first question is, can you comment on the role of international organizations in Burundi, for example? International, like UNICEF and et cetera. What's your comment do you have to make about the work of international organizations?
I think I had worked during 30 years with all those organizations. I can give you a joke. The first time I went to see the representative, or country representative of UNICEF, I have so many babies, and I have no milk. I have no clothes. And I know that on 16th of June, it's a day of African child, dedicated to African child. And then she was an American. And he called the staff for protection, education, and said, listen to this woman, but they asked me, which is your action plan? I said, love. but you have strategy and yes, I said, yes, love. You have some mechanism to transform this life. I said, yes, love, but which is your strength? I said, triumphal confidence in providence. I said, we don't fund this project, this organization without action plan. I looked to them, I said, okay, but don't come to take photo in my house. Because one day you will see, because love makes us inventor. I will succeed, and you will have making a big report that nobody will read. You will take always financial report and put pieces, you see, pièces justificatives there. And you know, I succeed. Finally, UNICEF came and gave me an award. Because those big organizations, the motivation in 1948 was really so wonderful. It's like our church also. When the first Christian began, it was to share, it was like that. But always when you become bigger, they forget the first mission. And it's our duty to go and to knock, to remember that they must remember of these first mission to save, to make our world, yes, better. And I got also an award from UN Agency for Refugees, but always we are like that because it's too big and they forget to be on the ground and remember, because if you see the salaries, yes, they cut, last year, they cut the food for refugees in a refugee camp in where I am. You see this photo. I said, okay, you said that you can't give us food. They can humiliate, they give $3 for each, $3 for 1 month, 3. And when I go to visit them, they give me a cup of coffee, and I joke, I said, please, this cup of coffee, how much it cost? Said $5. And then you give less than a cup of coffee for your brothers and sisters. And I said, if you stop to pay 5 functionaries in New York, then you can feed this refugee camp. This is, but I love them. But it's my duty as a Christian, as a mother, as a refugee, to speak loudly, to see how we can change that. Of course, I am a crazy woman. I dream of that. I don't accept what sometimes they do. And we are friends. They admire my job. But you can see here, there is no UN organization helping because I don't have but I have an action plan. I have strategy also, and I succeed with that. Yeah.
Maggie, thank you for your inspiration. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the teachers or role models that you had when you were young, and what do you remember them teaching you?
Olivia, can you help me? We were together. No. Yes. For me, we are the result of our teachers. Then if I am like that, of course, that I got wonderful education from my teachers. And I remember one. It was a nun, a Belgian nun, who loves us. You remember Sister Agnes. She was a very strong woman. She taught us for swimming, for theaters, and then we became really women that you see. And I went often to visit her and to say to her, you give us this such good education, confidence in ourselves, and when we came, we can't speak loudly because in our culture we must say like that. But she took us in front of the classroom and say, speak loudly, be confident. And this is I admire. And they give us also Christian values, compassion, integrity, solidarity. We were really together. Unfortunately, after they were obliged to leave this school, and they give those teachers who don't understand, who were first Hutu or Tutsi, and this is destroy our country. And it's why I want, even now, I have a favor to ask you. I am building now a secondary school because I remember all those good teachers who give me that, and I want its gratitude in action to give back to the future generation what I have received from those women who dedicate their lives to educate it, to give us good, the values. Because now in school they forget to give all those human values. They give science, but what you will become with only science, without compassion, without all those Ubuntu, like in South Africa, with Desmond Tutu, and Mandela said, this concept, this philosophy, Ubuntu, I am because we are.
That's probably the perfect place to end, since I know there's 8 Catholic priests who desperately want to get into this space. And so let's thank Maggie once again.
If we have a reception, we would love you to join us. In fact, I'm going to ask David to lead Maggie ahead of us. So they're going to go on out now so that we don't block them in here. And if everybody can show the hospitality to the folks following us by just following them out to the Bovender Terrace, which is just across the way, we'll enjoy more conversation together. Thank you all.